Aloha and good afternoon. My name is Jürgen Steinmetz, joining you from livestream.travel in Honolulu, Hawaii this afternoon. With me is Dr. Peter Tarlow in, in College Station, Texas. Peter, you had an exciting day today. How are you?
Well, I'm feeling great right now, so hopefully I will. I had my second COVID shot. It was the Moderna vaccine. And some people report that they have had problems after the second. I don't know many people have had a problem after the first shot, but after the second injection, after the second vaccination, some people report that it's a little bit rough on them. Um, so far, knock on wood, I've been okay. The I do feel some pain in my arm. I will say that I'm really proud of how well the system is organized in the state of Texas. Everyone has a number. Everyone, we got there. We waited for maybe 3 seconds, 5 seconds. We were immediately told, my wife came with me, and we were told to each sit at a different table. Within 5 minutes, we were vaccinated, and then normally you wait for 15 minutes before you drive. Uh, in our case, because we had traveled 90 miles from College Station to Houston to get the vaccination, they asked us to stay for another 15, 20 minutes. So we stayed for about half an hour. And I said to them, do you mind if we stay in the car? And they said, no, you can sit in your car. And when the 30 minutes are up, just let us know and go from there. So that's what we did. We got our vaccination and we sat in the car and chatted for about 30 minutes. And then we were able to leave. I wanted to get home as quickly as possible because a lot of people say that after a few hours is when the repercussions start coming through. And so I didn't want to be on the road if all of a sudden I got sick. And it is a good idea if you're going, when you get your second shot, and hopefully everyone will be vaccinated because it's really important. It doesn't matter if you're in Pfizer or Moderna or when the new ones come out, AstraZeneca or Johnson Johnson, whatever it is, get vaccinated. That's really my message to people. But take lots of water before you get your vaccine. Have water after your vaccine, and after the vaccine, carry with you some Advil or Tylenol or some form of pain reliever, and also some form of anti-allergenic that in case you should have some sort of allergic reaction. But make sure that it's something that will not produce drowsiness, because if you're driving, you don't want to drive and God forbid, fall asleep while you're in the car. But luckily for us, we were done by ready to leave after waiting our half an hour by 12 o'clock. 1:30, 2 o'clock, we were back home, and my arm is sore. So there's no doubt about that. I know that I got a shot in my left arm. I asked the nurse, last time I had my first one in the left arm, should I get in the right arm, the left arm? And her suggestion was some people don't have good power in their hand after they get the vaccination for about a day, and said if you're right-handed, you probably would rather lose power in your left hand than in the hand that you tend to favor. So I did it in the left arm again. I am told that sometimes the next morning you feel a little bit under the weather, so we'll see. But I would say even if you have flu-like symptoms for a day or day and a half, in comparison to having COVID, it is really worthwhile. Get the shot. So you might be uncomfortable for a day, you might be uncomfortable for half a day, but you're not going to be in the hospital. You're not going to die. And just remember that after the second shot, you were told about 95% in good shape, that we have the immunity for about a level about 95%, but it takes 3 weeks for the antibodies to trigger in your body. So after you get the second shot, don't go out and stop social distancing or take your mask off. Keep your mask on, keep your social distancing, and realize it's going to take about 3 weeks till those antibodies go through. Even afterwards, you should still social distance and use a mask, because it's a way of protecting other people. And the other side of that is no one knows for sure, well, you won't get sick, you could be a carrier and get somebody else sick. So because you don't know that, the advantage of the mask is you don't want to get anybody else sick. And so there's two sides of it. So if you're in public, use a mask. Obviously, if you're by yourself, when I walk at 6 in the morning by myself, I don't use a mask. But if I'm in any place in the public, I certainly do use a mask, and I encourage everyone to do that. So that's how the day went. It was an exciting day. Interestingly enough, I went and I got they give you a card, and I decided to get it laminated because you can, and I could stick it with my passport. Even though it's not yet internationally recognized, hopefully it will be at some point. And when I got it and I went to get it laminated, I said to the woman, I feel like I'm getting another PhD. And she said, so many people say that. But really, it's like you feel this incredible sense of accomplishment. In reality, all you've done is gotten vaccinated. But wow, it's like welcome to reality again. You feel like you've put the last year and a half behind you. So I know that you have not had I don't think you've had your first vaccine yet in Hawaii, but I really encourage you, as soon as you can, get vaccinated.
It must be a feel of relief.
It is.
All. Because we're all going through this. We're all thinking it's like playing roulette every day. I mean, am I going to get it? Am I not going to get it?
That's right.
And different news every day. So once you have the 2 doses, I think you can start breathing again. And
Yes.
the world
Yes.
is changing, maybe from get a little bit more friendly after this.
And the more people who have it, the greater the chance of herd immunity. Now, the real issue is we are having some problems in the United States right now. There was a report today that people in nursing homes, the people in the homes all want to get it. Maybe 80%, 90% would want to get vaccinated. But many of the workers in nursing homes don't want to get vaccinated. And so that's going to be a real problem because we won't be able to stop things in nursing homes if we don't get everyone vaccinated. So we really need this as a national effort. I'm opposed to force people to get vaccinated, but boy, I think we have to do everything we can to encourage it because it's really going to change the way our country functions, and it'll allow tourism to come back alive because right now it's dead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the misinformation is a big threat in regards to not getting vaccinated because it's going to put everyone in danger. I mean, we all have to work on this together, and we all have to be, responsible not only for ourselves but also for others.
Yeah, I'm not so sure if it's, well, there is in the United States a group that is against all vaccines, but I think, the government is giving out very good information, so that doesn't bother me. What I think is there are just a lot of people who are fearful, or they're rumors, or you probably heard what happened in California 2 days ago, where they had set up Dodger Stadium as a giant vaccination center, and they had to close it down because of an anti-vaccine group that came and forced everybody to leave. Now they were able to come back and get vaccinated, but that's incredible that you would have people who would terrorize other people. And if you don't want to get vaccinated, okay, I can't force it. But boy, don't stop somebody else from getting vaccinated, because the more people vaccinated, the safer we're all going to be.
Yeah, that has very little to do with free speech. We all want free speech. We all want to be able to protest. But you cannot take someone else's rights away and the right to be vaccinated because you wanted to tell people don't get vaccinated. So
if you want to stay in your house, okay, be my guest, but don't go in. It's kind of like some of the riots we've seen in Seattle or in Portland, or what's going on with free speech in Russia right now. And that's going to impact their tourism, where their opposition leader came back. And as you know, every weekend, thousands of people have been arrested in Russia as protests take place, demanding that there be a fair opposition to Putin. And that doesn't mean you can't vote for Putin, but it also means you should have the right to vote against Putin. And the fact that Putin has now put a gentleman who opposed him, he ended up getting poisoned. He had to be sent to Germany to recover. He's back in Russia, immediately jailed. He's now been assigned to 2 years in jail. And we see these types of protests going on in Russia. And that's got to impact people's willingness, or when Russia opens up again, do you really want to go to a place with this type of lack of democracy is taking place?
Yeah, and it's
Maybe
not
another example
only
is
Russia. Uh, we have a big problem currently in Burma
Burma.
or Myanmar,
Yeah,
what it's called for the last 11 some years, with the forceful overthrow of the government. And in the last 10 years, at least, Myanmar has tried to become more open
right,
and more democratic, and now is falling back into a military
right.
dictatorship.
Where
So
they've arrested the woman who really was the kind of symbol of democracy in Burma, and they've said that she illegally owns a walkie-talkie. And therefore, I mean, it's kind of ridiculous to say the least. It's almost laughable, but it's tragic.
yes.
And it's really tragic that governments make believe things in order to keep democracy from taking place. So yeah, so what's happening in Burma or Myanmar? I think the State Department has gone back to calling it Burma, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
But it's really tragic, and they were becoming a pretty well known in the world of tourism, and this has got to put them back many years.
Yeah, and of course, Myanmar is a beautiful country when it comes to tourism. There's so much to see, so much culture, and the income for tourism is needed. It's not one of the richest countries in the
No,
world, so it'll definitely make a difference. And when you deal with dictatorships, I guess logic has not much to do with
no,
reality. You can see it in Russia as well. I mean, they tried to kill the guy, they tried to poison the guy. He went
yes,
to Germany for treatment, and then he violated his parole to get treatment so he wouldn't die. So there's no win. You know, you
no,
cannot win
no.
against a dictator, I guess.
And I'm sure the Germans are very upset about it because they put a lot of money in to keep this gentleman alive. Rightly so. That's not a criticism. That's a compliment to Germany. And then what happens? He goes home, and the first thing they do is they put him into a Russian prison for 2 years. And I find it hard to believe that it's a luxurious prison.
I don't think so either. You know, you don't want to go to Siberia in a prison these
No,
days.
no, I don't think Siberia is exactly a place to go for warm weather.
No, it's definitely not warm weather, but you can do social distancing at least. They wouldn't you wouldn't have a
Yes,
problem.
Russia's a big country, so they can go around the world. What else is going on in the world today?
Well, Tahiti, our neighbor here from Hawaii, closed up completely to tourism. Tahiti, as you know, is French Polynesia. It's
Yes.
one of the most beautiful island paradises on earth. Not a very cheap place to visit, but it's part of France and here in the Pacific, and they completely closed for any tourism and any international arrival. People who are in Tahiti vacationing right now, they can finish their vacation and go home, but no new arrivals are allowed.
So you can leave, but you can't come in.
Exactly. Yes. And
Yeah.
and then we have news from Russia, the leisure trade show organized by um, Euro Expo in Vienna every year is supposed to be taking place in September. Physically, they're starting to advertise, and same as the World Travel Market in Sao Paulo, Brazil, is um, planning to take place. And actually, we're going to have an interview next week with the person in charge of the World Travel Market in Sao Paulo here on our news show, and hear more about this.
That should be really interesting because I don't know if you saw enough, but the BBC did a series called Lack of Oxygen in Brazil and in other Latin American countries. And of course, they don't mean lack of oxygen from the air. They mean that, God forbid, if you get COVID, they don't have enough oxygen to give people on ventilators. And people in Brazil are dying because they don't have the oxygen for people who've been hospitalized. That's obviously pure oxygen that they put into your lungs. So I wonder, Brazil is, I think, the third country in the world or the fourth country in number of COVID cases. And I wonder if that's going to impact people's willingness to go to a travel market in Sao Paulo when the number of cases, I think it's the United States, and India, and I think Brazil is number three, if I'm not mistaken, in number of cases of COVID around the world.
Yeah, I know, and this is going to be probably the question we have to the WTM representative when we have her on our show. I know they're very excited about it because it's a big step to have this happen in Brazil. If this is really going to happen, I guess we see. You know, we
Yeah.
had this in the beginning of COVID in March at ITB Berlin. They said literally till days before ITB was supposed to start, it's going to
Yes.
happen, not to worry. And then we know the history.
Right. And of course, the problem is when you cancel the last moment, people have bought airfares, they have spent money on hotels, or even if you can get your money back, you still lost opportunities because people canceled what they were doing in their home country in order to be able to travel. And now all of a sudden they can't anymore. And so that becomes a problem. You and I were both supposed to be in Berlin last year for ITB, and well, United Airlines still owes me $900. So I don't know if I'll ever get to see it or not.
No, and I think this money is available for future travel, I hope. So maybe we can try again next year.
Yes, yes, I'm hoping it will be. Maybe next year there'll be enough people vaccinated that it is. Speaking of Germany, they've been having some real problems in Germany, and I understand Portugal is now a real hotspot for COVID. Is that true? Do you know?
Yeah, Portugal is asking other countries like Germany for help and assistance right now. So they're going through some really hard time. And from what I understand, the German military is assisting Portugal right now in getting a handle
On the COVID?
on the COVID. So they're not going through easy times. And you know, this may have been the reason because when Germany first closed borders to the UK and South Africa, they included Portugal. We never really figured out why Portugal, and here you go. You know why.
Yeah. And now we understand why. One good piece of news that I just read, the Prime Minister of Greece is going to Israel for a state visit on Monday. And one of the things that is expected, it's both in the Greek papers and the Hebrew papers, is that there's going to be a new kind of golden corridor, which won't be the way it was before. But if you can prove that you've had both uh, COVID shots, in other words, you have to have both 1 and 2, then Greek citizens will be able to come into Israel and Israeli citizens be able to come into Greece. And they're talking about expanding that to Cyprus and to the Seychelles and to, I don't remember, one other country. But it'll be a corridor only open to those people who can prove they've had both vaccinations.
Yeah,
So it's a beginning.
yeah, and I think Peter, this is already a trend. When you're talking about Seychelles, Seychelles announced 2 or 3 days ago they are actually opening their country, or it's already open to anyone who has 2 shots.
Yes.
So anyone from any nation, no matter where you're from, can now visit the Seychelles again, visa free, go on a vacation, as long as you can show that you
Yeah.
had both shots.
Yeah.
And there are other countries following a suit on this. So I think this is really going to be the immediate future of tourism,
Yes. Yes.
that people like you are allowed to travel and people like
Yeah.
me have to stay at home.
I will send you a postcard, but I believe that they are going to be signing this free passage corridor between the Prime Minister of Greece and the Prime Minister of Israel on Monday during a state visit. So again, it's very small. It's little beginnings, but each beginning is one step closer to normality, and that's important.
Well, as long as you can call this normality. But
Well,
talking about Israel, there are many Israelis stranded right now in the United Arab Emirates. You know,
yes,
after the peace treaty,
yes,
um, thousands of Israelis every day traveled from Tel Aviv
yes,
to either Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and many of them are still in the United Arab Emirates, including our friend Dov,
yes,
who is our ETN
yes,
ambassador in Israel
in
also.
Israel, if he can get home.
And he's stranded, and he said, "I'm fine here," because he sent pictures from his hotel room. It's wonderful. He has a good time. He said, "I'm not in a big rush." So,
Yeah,
and he said, he's
I
working
do
from
think.
there because as long as there's internet, I guess you can work from
Yeah,
anywhere.
I think that they're talking about sending some special flights from the Israeli Air Force to Dubai to pick people up so they can get them home. But it's being stranded is in wherever you travel is a real problem for if you're a business person. If you're dealing with the internet, it's okay. But if you have to make business appointments or other things, it could be a little bit difficult to say the least. Or if you have family that needs to see you, you're stuck. Uh,
Yeah, and
I-
family, of course, that is probably the biggest hurdle because this world um, is very global, and many people have family in other
around the
parts of the
world.
world, or even just domestically. If
Yeah.
travel, like look at our country, United States, many people don't want to go on a plane.
Yes.
And can you drive 3,000 miles? Yes, I guess you could, but unless you live here in Hawaii, then you cannot even do that. So
Yes. Yeah. And the other part of that with the vaccine is, well, I hopefully in 2 or 3 weeks cannot get COVID. I can still be a transmitter of COVID. So, for example, my daughter and I were speaking about my going to visit in April, and the issue is, if my coming there, would I get them sick, or do I have to drive again from Texas to Washington because fear of being in a terminal, in an airport, et cetera, et cetera. So these are really issues that have to be looked at, and especially the whole issue of the airlines are doing a pretty good job. It's the airports that need to up their game and make people feel comfortable, and that has not yet happened. Well, I think we probably discussed more about COVID than most people want to hear. So, but anyway, I want to thank everyone for knowing all about my COVID. I think I sent you a picture so you can show me getting the, or now I can put it as a background for a
yeah,
second.
no, we're going to. You probably didn't see it because you're facing the other
Yeah.
way, but it was
But
showing in the background earlier.
Okay.
And so there we go. There we have you again here.
Yeah. So I'm up there. Okay. I'll see it when I see the film, but I'm looking forward to it. So I hope you get your shot real quickly. Don't get shot, but get a vaccine.
I'm ready. I mean, the good news here in Hawaii, I have to say, Hawaii has been very disciplined during this crisis. Again, today we had a record low number of new cases. Unfortunately, we had 4 people dying, which is high for Hawaii, but we only had 70 new cases.
Yes.
So our numbers are going down, and people observe the mask regulation. And even though we have tourists coming in, it seems to be, our numbers seems to be
working.
stable and are going down. So these are good signs, and we hope we can continue this.
Well, I hope so too. So stay well, stay healthy, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.
All right.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Have a
Bye-bye.
good evening.
You too.
Beaches is all about families, and keeping your family safe is our #1 priority. That's why we created our Platinum Protocol of Cleanliness, setting a new standard of excellence in health and safety protocols to give you a worry-free destination wedding of a lifetime. Beaches was built on connection. Connecting with family and friends, celebrating old times, and creating new beginnings. And we know the love you have for your family and having them there for the most special time of your life is what's most important. At Beaches, you can still have that happily ever after with a fully customized destination wedding surrounded by the people who mean the most to you. You can feel safe saying "I do" in a lush tropical garden, or walking down a white sand aisle with a calm blue sea as your backdrop. Our wedding venues are found in wide open spaces, nature-made for celebrating your love. And while we've always led the industry in health and safety protocols, our resorts are even safer now than ever, giving you a wedding free of worries, surrounded by love. That's why we've reduced the capacity of our venues and put more physical distance between guests. Instead of tables for 8 at your reception, we'll seat only 6 guests per table. We've eliminated buffets and specialty food stations, so all food will be plated and served by Beach's staff wearing masks. We're even offering live stream service of your wedding ceremony, so your friends and family who can't travel right now can still share in your special day. Once the vows have been exchanged, the honeymoon of a lifetime begins. And we're taking every measure necessary to ensure your health and safety during your stay at Beach's. As part of the Sandals Resorts family, we've followed in their footsteps in setting a new standard of excellence with our Platinum Protocol of Cleanliness. Together with the extensive research from local ministries and health officials, the Center for Disease Control and the World Health Organization, Beach's has instituted advanced hygiene practices across 18 key touchpoints. A triple check system that includes inspecting, cleaning, and sanitizing hard surfaces and common areas every 20 minutes. Adding auto-dispensing hand sanitizing stations throughout the resort. To ensure the utmost safety, Beach's will be using hospital-grade disinfectants, electrostatic sprayers for advanced cleaning, UV lighting equipment to inspect cleanliness, and air duct sanitization for each room before every guest's arrival. We've gone so far as to steam clean and sanitize carpeting and flooring prior to arrivals, and placing personal hand sanitizers in every guest room. For added safety, all staff members are required to wear protective face gear at all times. And from now on, guests can check in online at home, so they can bypass the front desk and go directly to their rooms. Stricter physical distancing protocols have also been put in place in every part of the resort. Chlorine and pH levels at all our pools and water parks are monitored every 2 hours, and we've taken added measures to protect the health and safety of your family. Our kids' camps facilities are sanitized before and after each use. And all of our professional nannies carry pocket-sized bottles of hand sanitizer. Our tween and teen hangouts, including the Xbox Play Lounge and Trench Town, are sanitized before and after each use with hospital-grade disinfectants. In addition, all our spa facilities and sports equipment will be sanitized before and after use to protect the health and safety of our guests and their families. Both Sandals and Beach's are committed to providing strict compliance and implementation of these safety protocols. So much so that we've created a dedicated quality inspection team at each resort to make sure all safety measures are adhered to. We can't wait to help you make your dreams come true with a destination wedding at Beach's. And while you're focused on your new life together, surrounded by those you love the most, we'll take care of everything else.